Hello, and welcome to Fugitive Poem Show. The art will not be changing. Trying to say it different every week. Oh my gosh, I did it again. Amateur mistake. I don't know if you can hear it. I left the YouTube open in the background. My own voice is screaming back at me. I just, there's no professionalism whatsoever anywhere around here. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. There never will be. So, welcome tonight. We got another great show. I'm really excited about our guests. I'll talk about them in a second. As always, though, you know the deal. During the hour that we are on, that means if you're watching live right now, Fugitive Poems Comics, if you go to fugitivepoems.com and you order Containment Breach Volume 3 of Clouds and Ether, it's 172 pages of awesome sci-fi comics. Think heavy metal magazine with some sort of traumatic brain injury, and you'll get where we're at. If you get Containment Breach Volume 2, Myth Reborn, 162 pages of reimagined mythology, twisted like you wouldn't believe in weird ways, including a story of a young woman who comes home to her apartment and finds a rat waiting for her. And it does not go anywhere good. Spoiler alert for her. We also have, of course, the first issue of River. Holy cow, did this get a lot of attention over the weekend. We went to the punk rock flea market, the New Jersey punk rock flea market, and River, our Containment Breach series, River and Blood Valkyrie in Vegas flew off the shelves. River is a story of a drug dealer who gets his hands on a time machine and proceeds to bend the universe over a barrel. And Blood Valkyrie in Vegas, you know our girl. She goes to a fun swinging 1970s party that turns into a satanic blood orgy, and she has to survive. We're talking pure grindhouse. Order them while we were live, and you will get this awesome Fugitive Poem sticker designed by Evan Knapp with a painting which James sold this weekend. I See You by James Lyons. And of course, one of these fantastic parental advisory stickers, which you need to put absolutely everywhere if you're anything like me. Before I bring on our guests, talking about this weekend, I met a man named Tim Mertz. Tim Mertz, the shirt I'm wearing, look at this Mothman shirt. How badass is that? His artwork is absolutely stellar. I got a poster from him. Watch out for Bigfoot and heat. It's drawn like a warning thing that you'd see from rangers in the forest. Totally serious, total poker face, but it's about watching out being cornered by Bigfoot while he is in heat. Very funny. Tim Mertz is his name. Arcane Authorities. You can go to at Arcane Authorities on Instagram. And arcaneauthorities.com. Arcane Authorities. The guy's designs are mind-blowing. Absolutely beautiful. A lot of cool cryptid stuff. And this Mothman t-shirt. I mean, come on. Let's see. We got Claudio Girardi in the chat. And once again, Christian does his Clark Kent removes his glasses and becomes Superman impression. I mean, look, ready? I mean, Clark Kent was onto something. One look, totally different, completely different human being. One person, completely different human being. It is astounding. I don't know why people even question it. Tonight, so you know, Fugitive Poems is an independent comic house. We make all our own stuff. We put it out there. We're promoting indie people. Well, tonight, we meet our brother, Homebrewed Comics, and they're doing the same thing. So I'm going to bring on Dennis R. Valencia right now. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Christian, not gonna lie, hell of an intro, and you had me at Blood Orgy. Not gonna lie.
This comic is just absolutely batshit. And I
Uh,
wrote it, and I can't believe I got someone to draw it. I don't know if Alex Zapata has to say extra prayers at night because he drew it, but I'm
yeah,
really proud of it.
I wish I was in the room for that pitch. Like, okay, I got a book, and it's about a blood orgy. Like, what do you think? Nice,
There's a
nice.
two page spread of her. So I designed it so that there are three two-page spreads,
Mm,
and they're the floating frames are in exactly the same place on each.
nice.
She arrives at this party, 1970s party. Everyone's dressed nicely, and turn the page, and there's a full-on orgy going on. He's like, "I'm sorry, what just happened?" You turn the page, and half the orgy participants have turned into demons and are tearing
Nice,
apart the other half, and
nice.
it goes from there.
Was this like old school anime inspired? Like, where did this come from? Was this just a, ah,
There's
nice.
something deeply wrong with me. Uh, I had a student of mine, adult student, once tell me a story about going to a party, and
Mm.
two people just started going at it right in front of her.
Oh wow.
And that was in the back of my head for a while, as I thought that was kind of funny. She's like, well, I'm gonna get my purse and leave. And I had that for a while. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I came up with this character, the Blood Valkyrie, and that just came together. And I went,
Mhm.
what if I just extrapolate that out to the nth degree? And
Yeah.
Alex Zapata was like, yeah, I'll draw that.
It's funny where you get those inspirations just for like these scenes. You just pull these things from the recesses of your brain and like, you know,
It's incredible what
yeah.
and not non-creatives, and I don't mean that insulting. I mean there are
Mhm.
people who aren't programmed that way, analytical
Yeah.
people, and they it's so hard to explain it to them. It's as hard to explain to them as them explaining to me why math is obvious and makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
It's like, I just you did this math in your head like that. I can't, but I could come up if you asked me to come up with a story for you right now, and you gave
Yeah.
me one element. I'd have it just is the way our brains are programmed, and
Yeah.
it's like a drug for me. It's so much fun. We have hi,
Ooh.
don't put too much nonsense in my head. I have an interview with the PTA board at 9. LOL. Meantime, kitchen cleaning. Yes, Sabina, that's my sister. She won't read
Nice.
anything I write. Uh
I wonder why.
just don't ask Christian about what he did to a pooch.
Wow.
Today, I admit I screwed something up with a script, and I said I screwed the pooch, and Claudio has decided that this must be a literal thing. Hey, that's my
Nice.
brother. So,
Nice.
Dennis, you
Yeah.
just started interviewing me, which is really cool. You are
Yeah.
the Homebrewed Comics Vice President of Media and Community Outreach, right?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
reading your exact thing.
Yes,
You
sir.
are essential to this company. What is the company? What is Homebrewed Comics?
So I'm the fourth partner to come into Homebrew Comic. It was started by Chris Saloff, creator of Crit, and Drew Lenhart, the creator of Caspian Porter. A few months in, they brought in Dan Price, the creator of Bigfoot Knows Karate, and his team. And then I was the fourth amigo to come in and join in. Homebrew Comics, we have a passion for indie comics. And one of the cool things I love about Homebrew Comics is we have a lane for everyone. So Chris, and you'll meet Chris in his book Crit, it's based on the Dungeons and Dragons campaign. If you're into Dungeons and Dragons, like that's your guy. Drew Lenhart, he has Caspian Porter. It's a sci-fi book. If you're into sci-fi, you got that guy. Dan Price, you know him well. He's had the cryptid book, and he's just an incredible talent. So there's Dan Price. So he brings that cryptid element, that thriller. And then I'm the Cape guy. Like my book is a Celestial Knight. If you like superheroes and a talking dog and a little bit of humor, like that's my lane. I think that's the power of Homebrew Comics. You get four creators, four different strengths. We meet in the middle. We understand our goal. We have one direction, and we've been in different cabals. Like Chris and I worked at a different publisher. I knew Dan previously through indie comics, but for us, it really was a melding of all our talents. We all have our different strengths, and we have one vision, and it really kind of formed like a whole. We always joke we're Voltron. We came together, we formed this massive, 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 publisher, and that's us. That's Homebrew Comics.
This, James. Oh, and we have someone joining us. James and I, my partner James
Mm,
Lyons, we met. Oh, he found one of my scripts somewhere. We
nice.
met and just clicked. And then my best friend since 4th grade, who's in the chat, who just said, sounds like our kind of people, Mark Capitelli, he jumped. He was like, hey, you guys are doing editing and stuff? You know, I do that. He came in, and it went when the right people gelled together with the same passions, but different directions to take it in. And speaking of which, here's another one of the right people, Chris Saloff. Welcome, Chris.
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties there.
Yeah, I saw you pop on, then go away, and I'm like, did I offend him?
No, the mic wasn't working. I couldn't hear anything, so I had to like leave. My phone wasn't accepting it, so I had to pull the laptop out.
Well, welcome, folks. Are you the co-founder of Homebrewed Comics, correct?
Yeah. Brief, I guess. Like Drew and I founded this last year. I was doing Homebrewed Heroes. He was doing Snowy Works, and we had been, like Dennis said, we had been a group previously, and it just wasn't going the direction we wanted. And I think it was like Thanksgiving 2024. We were like, hey, let's just kind of like combine forces, and then new logo, new branding, all these things. And then it's like, hey, let's get Dan, and then let's get Dennis. And now, we're a year and a half in with a whole bunch of stuff under our plate, and it's just snowball effect. I love it.
Your website is gorgeous. The professionalism.
Thank Dan for that one.
Oh man, the professionalism of your presentations, of your Kickstarters. You guys have immediately put yourselves forward as a force, and I love how the cohesion of it and the immediacy of your projects, and that each of you is getting your projects off the ground. And I can't wait to talk about C.R.I.T tonight, but I want to hear about a lot of other stuff. Mark says it usually because Christian offends our guests and audience and Jesus. I mean, he's not wrong. So, Chris, C.R.I.T, excuse me, is your baby.
Yes.
All right. Before we get into what it's about, I have a pet peeve. So we're gonna throw the negative out there right at you.
Right.
You just came on, and I'm just you ready?
Here we go.
All right,
here we go.
So I am an English professor and absolutely a grammar Nazi. Where is the last dot after the T on the logo?
So I'm a graphic designer, and
Good answer.
I played with that last dot for a while, and it was killing me because it just was messing it up. I was like, you know what? I got to get rid of it. So it's a graphical choice, not a grammatical choice.
So I knew that was going to be your answer, and you're right, because I was looking, I pictured it there, and I'm like, this is a lump hanging out of the side. Yep. I get it, but my students, in fact, most people I see on the internet have no idea that in an abbreviation there's supposed to be that last dot. And like I see R.I.P. and there's only after the R and the I, and they don't put it in. It drives me crazy. I knew what your answer was going to be, and I knew that you knew, because in your advertising the dot is there when it's written out. But I just had to pick on you.
No, I mean, I appreciate it, but no, I'm stuck like you though, because I'm also like a grammar Nazi, and I remember when I did the original logo, and me and the designer were going back and forth, and he was like, which one do you like? And I'm like, I'm torn, because I want to go with the grammatically correct one, but I also really hate that little dot that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
So we went with, of course, the one that was pleasing to the eye.
You know, it's funny, as James and I have gone back and forth about this with commas after people. He's like, well, run, Bob. He's like, yeah, but someone would just yell, run, Bob. They wouldn't put a comma on there. I'm like, it doesn't look right in the balloon. So this is something that comes up when you visualize words. Is in a comic, you got to get the feeling across, the emotion across. For C.R.I.T, you want it to be streamlined so that people have a sense of what it's going to be. And sometimes there are grammatical sacrifices. They don't know that. I had to take off my dishwasher gloves to express my indignation. So being said, Chris, and then Dennis, I'm going to want your take on it. What is C.R.I.T?
So it's constantly running into trouble. It is a superhero Dungeons and Dragons game turned into a comic book.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Give me. All right. I've got like 15 questions.
Yeah.
So you're a Dungeons and Dragons guy.
Yes.
And when did the comic idea come to you with this? Folks, by the way, I just put the link to the C.R.I.T Kickstarter in the chat. It is only up for what is that called?
Pre-launch.
Pre-launch. Thank you.
Yep.
For pre-launch right now, but get on it because you're going to want to know the minute this thing drops. I'm willing to bet, and we'll find out that they're going to be early bird specials. And you're going to, there you go. Homebrewed does not skimp. Everything is a bonanza. It is huge, high quality, excitement. There's going to be cool shit on day one. So hit that save button, remind me, and get on that right away. And I mean, right now, that doesn't even mean you're spending money at this moment. Just tell future you to spend some money. So
the good news is with Kickstarter too, they don't collect the money until the end of the campaign. So even if on day one you want to get that, that tier or whatever, it doesn't end till 30 days later. So I like to tell people that too, because they're like, oh, I'm gonna wait till payday, and I'm like, that doesn't matter with Kickstarter. Indiegogo, yes, but not Kickstarter.
Exactly.
But so it never really was intended originally to be a comic book. It was just at the time I had lost my job. Well, kind of quit, lost. I was given an option to move to Texas for a year, and I'm like, I have an 8-year-old daughter. I'm not moving without her. And it was like by myself for a full year. And my situation was just like, hey, I'm sitting at home, I'm playing video games, and then for the first time in almost 40 years, I've been working since I was 12. So like 30 years I'd been working, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a break. I have some money in the bank, I'm gonna enjoy life. So I'm playing Spider-Man on the PS4, and I had this like really good idea to take, because everyone's Spider-Man was different, and I called my friends and I was like, we've been talking about superhero D&D forever. I'm like, you take this one character and you can customize it in 100 different ways. Let's make superhero D&D very similar. Take the class, customize it in 100 different ways. So I took like a whole month, built all the mechanics for it using different homebrewed engines and 5th edition D&D. And finally we play. And we hadn't played D&D as a group in some of us 10 years. And some of us hadn't even spoken in 10 years. And it was so much fun, so much chaos. So like we talked about that game for over a month. We were just going back and forth talking about, oh, this was so cool, And finally, I had this job previously that had given me a tablet that you could draw on, and my art was not anything really. I wouldn't even call myself an artist. I just started sketching some stuff out. I had some action figures. I posed them and how I thought the scene would look, and I just drew out some of the scenes, and that just became an obsession of mine. For like, I drew this book over the course of about a month or two, and finally I put it out. Everyone was like, that's cool. And because I was so excited and I got like such a lackluster response, I said, screw this. I went out the next day, spent all this money on an iPad, taught myself how to draw, and just I'm going to do a comic book now. And I got through the first issue, the first real issue, because that other one I won't ever release. It was a limited edition in a Kickstarter. This new issue 1, I drew it, and then I went to one of the guys and I'm like, well, I spent all this time learning how to draw. I don't know how to color, and I don't want the book to look like garbage. And he was like, oh, just put it on Kickstarter and then get money and pay a colorist. And I was like, oh, like literally the conversation was the same, like build it and they will come. And I had no idea about marketing, nothing, just put everything on Kickstarter, put this stupid goal that I shouldn't have even had. I only needed like $500 to pay a colorist. It wasn't a big deal. Put 2,000 on there. The Kickstarter fails. It only raised, I think, like $700, $800. And so I was bummed. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not supposed to do this. And I'm sitting on Facebook one night, and a good buddy of mine is like, hey, what is this comic book thing you're doing? I'm like, I start giving him a little background. He's like, well, how much money do you need? I'm like, really? I only need $500. Next thing I know, I'm getting a Facebook message that he sent me $500. He's like, I'm sitting on a private jet. Dude, I got into weed real early. He has weed farms all over the world. And he's like, I might as well use my drug money for something good, And
beautiful.
So, C.R.I.T, brought to you by drugs. So I just used that money. I got it colored, and I really didn't anticipate it becoming more than anything else. I went back on Kickstarter. I gave everyone that backed the book a copy for free. I paid out of all that. I paid for it because these were people that I had never met. You know, yes. Yeah, and it was like 35 backers, and I had no Instagram, I had no Facebook, I had nothing. This was just strictly people stumbling across this or seeing me somewhere, and back in the book. And so I just said, "Hey, you guys believed in this when it was nothing. I'm going to go ahead and send it to you." And I'm looking at launching my 10th book, and I've looked back, and almost every single one of those backers has come back for every book, which is freaking amazing.
Wow.
And then I just, on my website at the time, I just put a pre-order form up there, and I put it on my Facebook, and I had like 150 orders on the book. So I just was like, well, I guess people like this. And I asked for some feedback, and it was all like, well, where's issue 2? And I'm like, oh man, now I got to draw a second book. And God, Dennis probably remembers this. My second book I launched on my birthday the same year, and I had COVID. And it was a mess. I'm trying to launch and talk about a Kickstarter, and I can't even see my screen, and I'm just sweating. I'm dying. I'm like, buy my book. And
send money. I'm dying. Send money.
This might be the last one. And yeah, so like 6 years went by, and now like I taught myself everything. Every panel you see is me trying to get better and better every time I draw this book, and it became more than I ever thought it would be. I like being at issue 10 and having I have 13 covers on this book because I really want to be a part of this issue 10. And I am not one to have 34. Like I'm not a cover person like that. But I just started putting some feelers out to see which one of my friends would want to contribute. And just everybody was like, I want to jump in. And Dennis has one. I've been working with this guy for 6 years. Got my first cover from him, and
you're not gonna let me live that down. You're never gonna let me live it down.
Well, actually, today I just got one of the last covers from my buddy Jason, who was the first guy to really, get into indie comics with me, and he sent me the cover he did, and he's like 10 issues, and I never did a cover. He's like, so, and we got some really good talent. VK Marion, who's he's doing Nightwing and Green Lantern. He's on there. Dennis and I met him at Heroes Con, and then I got Jose Vasquez, who's doing Avengers West Coast, I believe, and he did a bunch of work on the MCU zombie stuff. He's on there, so it's just huge. Like there's so many cool covers on this one.
So we got Claudio in the chat saying, "Great, we got another Rob Liefeld. How are you at drawing feet?"
Hey, I actually, hands and feet were something I worked my butt off on because I'm not a Rob Liefeld. I want to respect the man's work, but
I got to talk to you about that. I got a question for you, Dennis, about that, because you said something that affected me deeply on a very personal level. We got Ryan Santos. Speaking of amazing fucking artists, Ryan Santos is the artist of many things, but if you go to fugitivepoems.com, scroll down to Dirty Living, issue 6 just came out. It is only available on the Fugitive Poems website, and it is the end of arc 1 of this dirty, gory, bloody, and funny supernatural noir, where the worst of Detective Doug Kelly's problems is not the return of the undead. So if you think about how bad things must be, plus he's drunk and smoking the entire time. Not smoking what Chris's friend is smoking, but just good old-fashioned cancer sticks. Ryan Santos, every cover has gotten better. And by the way, he started at A+. Everything, he is unbelievable. The art is amazing. It's written by Stephen Betcha. $2.99 every 3 months, and you get a brand new Dirty Living. And he says, congrats on making a book. It's definitely a labor of love. I'll check it out. Claudio Gerardo says, instead of Homebrewed Comics, maybe call it Weed Smoke Time. Superheroes getting a high. It's funny because there's another addiction in this book, which is apparently coffee, and we'll talk about that.
Yes.
In a minute. So, Dennis.
Yeah.
You're an artist.
Yes, sir.
You an artist or a writer first? I believe you're an artist first.
I am an artist through and through, sir.
All right. And when did you start drawing?
I was probably 13 years old. And I know we talked about this backstage, Christian, about origin stories, but I'm going to hit you with one. I grew up in a neighborhood that did not like um, my ethnicity, put it that way. And because of that, I stayed indoors and I would just read comics and learn about good versus bad, the fight against, evil and justice. And I taught myself to draw because I didn't want to go outside. But that's the origin story of how I learned to draw.
All right. Now, you've been doing this then since childhood.
Yeah.
And this gentleman who I just met, and I shouldn't say this about, this son of a bitch, Chris,
Yeah.
is bored and decides to
Yeah.
learn how to draw and
Yeah.
puts out 10 issues of a comic. How does that make you feel?
To me, he's the modern artist. I'm old school pen and pad, like I'm that guy. Like I feel like most comfortable when I have a pencil and a micron and I'm drawing on a Bristol board. When I see Chris doing the magic on his iPad, using all those different like tools he has, to me, he's the modern artist. So I don't ever look at it like, man, he did all that. But I look at him and be like, there's a skill level there that is a completely different kind of artist. And to me, he's the modern artist.
I am blown away by this. And I think you got a great description there.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, the art in Crit is sharp. It's exciting. It's dynamic and it's spot on. And I can say the same thing about Celestial Night, Dennis's project. In fact, everything that's being put out by Homebrew is they obviously have the same impulse that Fugitive Poems has, which is we only put out what we'd want to read and highest possible quality. And Homebrewed is doing that. Chris, so I'm a writer. I wanted to be a comic book artist. It's part of my origin story that I won't tell. Until I discovered I had zero fucking talent. I could not draw for shit. To this day, the only thing I can draw is Ninja Turtles. And I don't know why. I draw great Ninja Turtles. Can't draw anything else. No idea the reason behind it. And the idea that you decided to sit down and learn to draw as an adult as well, it blows my mind. And if you told me this and I'd never seen any of your stuff, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sure his stuff is fine. But I've seen your shit and it's great. It's absolutely great. Now, do you write as well?
I do. Crit, I try to keep the Crit storyline as close to the recordings of the game session as possible. So everything you read is more of me transcribing what we did. So I'm the dungeon master. My job is to try and kill them. Their job is to try and solve whatever I throw at them. And I early on, one of the pieces of feedback I got was that everybody sounded like they had their own voice. And in a team book, that's really hard. And I was blessed because I'm just using their voices. I'm using all the words they use, all the actions they use. So each character was very organic. And there was an issue where I was trying to meddle with some of the story. And me and two of the guys that play, we get together and we edit a lot of the stuff. And we just all agreed that it didn't fit. When we edit it down, it loses a lot of the feeling of being at a tabletop. So I don't write Crit. Now, the Homebrewed Zero issue where I have the cat fighting the magic coffee beans, I wrote that.
Zero.
Yeah. I wrote that for me and my daughter because my daughter helped color that book. And I thought it'd be fun to have the cat, like she's a teenager and her artwork is more anime based. So I was like, hey, let's do the animals fighting coffee beans. And her and I had a blast with it. I wrote that, and we're working on a title with me and Drew from Snowy Works. We're working on a title together that I am working on writing and all that. My in school, I was very, very into writing stories, poems, that whole thing. So I'm blessed now that I have these guys that allow me to write some fun stuff for them. Yeah, that's the Marion.
So this is Chris's. Who did this art?
VK Marion. He's the guy that's at DC right now.
That was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
He crushed
and I
that.
saw that you were, Dennis, you said that you were inspired by '90s creators as well, and I see a lot of that love even here. That early image that so many of us grew up on.
Yeah.
I remember buying the first issue of Image Comics that they ever put out, and being awed that everyone I loved had moved over to this new company, and they were unfettered and doing whatever they wanted. Folks,
So,
this is C.R.I.T. I'm sorry, I just cut somebody off.
oh no. So last year, somebody brought up Rob Liefeld. I really am a huge Rob Liefeld fan. Youngblood is really an inspiration for even the story of C.R.I.T. When I had kind of gotten out of comics for a while. Huge X-Men fan growing up, loved all that up until Wolverine had bone claws, and I got out of it. Batman, my previous marriage, my wedding band was actually a bunch of Batman symbols with diamonds in them. And Spawn and Youngblood and Wetworks were like all these books I loved as a kid. So last year when Rob did the relaunch of Youngblood, I was in North Carolina, that's where I live, and tax season ends on the 15th. He was having a signing on the 16th. I closed down 26 of my tax offices on the 15th, got on a plane at midnight, flew to California, slept in a hotel room, walked all the way to Golden Apple Comics, and was second in line for the launch of Youngblood. The feet and hands aside, it's launching a book and having that much success is always awesome to be part of. And even VK Marion there, he's on a Youngblood cover now. So huge 90s fan, love Todd McFarlane and all those guys.
Todd McFarlane, first con I ever went to. My parents didn't understand how cons worked, so he was going to be in Manhattan. My father pulled up outside the con. It was so backed up that all the tickets were sold out, and my mother ran me in. I was 23. No, I'm kidding. I was a little kid. My mother ran me in and somehow circumvented the whole line. It would have infuriated me if I was on the line, but she has the skill. I don't know how she does it. She got me Dr. Seuss's autograph the same way. She circumvented the whole line, got me up to Todd McFarlane, had him sign my comic. And then we were out of there. We handled it like popping into a coffee shop to stay on target with you. It was the weirdest thing. When I think back, I'm like, that was my first con. We literally ran in the door, grabbed our product, and ran out.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
But I am also named in Todd McFarlane's last issue of Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
I had written him a couple of letters. I know where you live. I'm watching your wife. Normal stuff like that.
That was you?
I telling him how much I love what he was doing. And we're in a Chinese restaurant. I had just gone to the Dragon's Den in Yonkers, if anybody knows. That was where I grew up. And I'm looking in the back. He thanks his fans in the last issue. I embarrassed my family completely. I jumped out of my chair. The chair goes flying behind me because there's my name enlisted in the thanks to his fans. Christian De Matteo is shocked.
Cool.
So Todd McFarlane is huge for me. We got my sister pointed out that I also draw excellent comic book chickens. Yes, cartoon chickens. And then Mark, because I never remember this, folks. It's 33 minutes into the show. Do you like comic book talk? Are you trying to take a nap to the dulcet tone of Christian talking about Ninja Turtles? Give us a like, subscribe, and ding Christian's bell. Ding it. That's right. Ding my bell. I only recently found out about this. Thanks to Mark. There's a fucking bell on the YouTube. Ding it. Subscribe. Like. Send me your soul, whatever. Just you want to be part of the Fugitive Poems community. You want to be on this. We've got the incredibly talented team of Life on Saturn, Dom and Lyd Monette, who were on the show a couple of weeks ago. And folks, if you haven't seen that episode, watch it. They are amazing. Image should hire you for this beautiful work. And then Mark quoting Cameo, word up. Indeed. We've also got Mom is Such a Baller. Yes. Todd's my ex-boss. Never had shoes on. I did not know that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Well, if that were the case and he worked with Rob should have been able to draw feet. Ding is dong. I mean bell. Ding the bell. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you. I'm always quoting Cameo. I'd like to know what the other quotes are, Mark. Dennis, you get involved in this story. You get involved in Homebrewed Comics. How far in is C.R.I.T. at that point?
Chris, what are we at? 7 or 8 right then? Maybe actually around 8 or 9.
when you got involved with Homebrewed Comics or with me personally?
I think with Homebrewed Comics, I know issue 1, which funny by the way, I remember buying this through recommendation of a friend. And this is when I first got into indie comics, and then he was like, "Hey, check this book out." And I bought it, and I remember posting it with my dog and being like, "Check out this cool book. It's about D&D little campaign." And it was, this book and my dog who was looking at like he hated me for taking that picture. But super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. They had it right there.
Yeah, Dennis still has one of the best stories I have from issue 2, where he read it and he called me. He's like, "I got to finish the book, but I threw it across the room." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "That fucking ad in the middle of it just made me." He was like, "I was dying laughing." Because I do some of the books, it's not every one of them. I'll do like an advertisement that I draw something stupid into it. And it was like a break in the page, and he just got to the ad and he wound up throwing across the room. And
when you're engrossed in the story and you're going and you're turning the pages and you're turning page, and then Chris hits you with this ad that was so ridiculous, and I was like, "Motherfucker!" And I just threw it across the loft, and I was like, "I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with this guy." Yeah.
But he came into our new formed Homebrewed Comics. He was February, so it was right as I was launching the 8th issue of C.R.I.T. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you a D&D player, Dennis?
Actually, I used to play when I was in like middle school. I was a dungeon master too, but I was old school. We had like paladins and elves and that kind of that lane. All my old art sketchbooks, which I love breaking out, have just page after page of like barbarians and like magic, like me drawing magic missile over and over and over. And like I was so enthralled with like bag of holding and beholders and things like that. I'm old school D&D.
Yeah, I don't know how. I honestly don't know how I missed it. I'm a child of the 80s, raised in Yonkers, New York, in a garden apartment. So I had friends real close, and I shared a wall with my 2 closest friends, and we were all fucking nerds, and we were all into that shit. And I have no idea. Dungeons and Dragons never even came up. I found out about it later. And I know not. I have a friend who's a dungeon master, but she handles it very differently. There are thigh-high leather boots and whips and chains, so I don't think it's the same thing you guys are talking about. But I think that's fantastic. But yeah, I miss Dungeons and Dragons. Let's see. Too busy, my sister said, too busy taking bikes off roofs. That's a story for another day. We were not very bright, and it's a miracle any of us are still alive. So Chris, you have known Dennis for a while, or how did you meet Dennis?
So again, we during COVID, it was the Instagram creators collaborations and everything, and I think it was 20. It was 21 or 22. We did a con together. We had known each other off Instagram and decided to do. It's funny. Him and I are only about 2 hours apart. He's down in South Carolina. I'm up in North Carolina. And so he shows up to this con, and I'm sitting in my car, and my ex-wife is next to me, and she's like, "There's somebody at the door." And I look over, and I'm like, "Oh, it's Dennis." And I get out. I'm like, "Oh, we're the same height."
Hey, I'm an Asian man. I'm not that tall.
Oh, wait, I might like this room that we're in. I'm 5'6".
Right there with you,
perfectly.
Is it?
Let's go.
See, James and Mark, this is normal. Nice. All right, you guys are my new favorite people now. Folks, I put on the in the chat, I put normal Mark because we all love freaky dancing and romancing. Let's do some more. You can't fail once you're freaking. So shake your pants. We'll party for sure. We'll party. Mark does quote Cameo. All right. Well, I stand. Nice. I stand corrected. Folks, I put in the chat the link to C.R.I.T, and you're going to want to jump on that and make sure that you hit that follow or notify me button. And I'm also going to put in the chat here right now this really fantastic website. Mark says we would definitely party with these guys. Yeah, we got to find a con in common is what we need to do. You're a mess. I must confess. You make me hot with what? Good Lord. I didn't know Cameo had this much. All right. So if we look at this, we see Bigfoot Knows Karate from my man Casey Allen and Dan Price. I see Celestial Knight. I see Caspin Porter. And I see Crit. And there's also, Dennis, something called Mama's Boy. Am I right?
Yeah, I try to expand my kind of repertoire. So I wanted to kind of get in the world of horror. So hopefully, working on it right now. Um, kind of about say 2/3 the way through it, and it'll be my first foray into horror, and hopefully going to Kickstarter sometime end of year, fourth quarter. I think Chris, we're looking around October-ish. But
we'll
that'll
do a
be
dual
at
launch
least.
with you and Dan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we'll do a dual launch. But yeah, that'll be a good time, and that's what I'm working on currently.
Well, the Bigfoot Knows Karate, I became an instant fan of. Casey Allen is a dear friend of mine. He told me he was writing this, Dan's idea, and the first time I saw it, I was knocked out by it. And then you guys came together, and every project sounds badass. So, folks, if you go to Homebrewed and you scroll down to Must Read Comics, you'll see right there these incredible offerings that they have. And you can get merch. I have a Bigfoot Knows Karate shirt. Now I want a Crit shirt and a Celestial Knight shirt. I want all the shirts. I love shirts, as you can see with my Tim Merch Mothman shirt. I'm going to keep hyping him. He's at Arcane Authorities. But folks, this is beautiful, beautiful work. Dennis, can you tell us a little bit about Celestial Knight? It's such a great title.
Yeah, it's about a character named Jeremy. I'm originally from New York, so my story is based in Staten Island. You know, when I grew up in there, it was
With
Shaolin.
Wu-Tang
So
Clan?
it's called Shaolin. Hell yeah. So yeah, a character named Jeremy. He has his dog, which is actually my dog. It's my best friend. I would say it's my best friend. His dog Norman. They wind up getting superpowers. They fight a kaiju in Times Square, and that kind of sets the you know first arc. The arc is 3 issues long. I just finished issue 2 a few months back, and basically just find out about this character named Jeremy, the powers he develops, why he wants to choose to defend. Um, Basically against monsters and against these kaiju, and you kind of just get that whole like kind of journey of him. And then one of the things I always wanted to explore was like, just because you have superpowers doesn't mean you're going to defend and risk your life to save people you don't even know, who half of them probably hate you. And that's kind of the beginning of his origin story and his story arc of what he's doing, throwing the talking dog, a little humor here and there. And I love drawing monsters. So any chance I could throw a kaiju and something nasty and snarling and scaly with big fangs, like I'm all in. So I kind of just tried to play on my strengths and things I love to do.
That's fascinating. And I love this is something I love. Dan does this with Bigfoot Knows Karate, Casey, and it seems to be a theme with a number of the books that you guys are doing. You're playing with the philosophy. We're in the post-MCU world. The superhero is eponymous. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. Is the word I'm looking for. How do you create a new superhero property? And you got Chris doing something. Chris, I was thinking about one of my favorite authors, Philip K. Dick, his novel, The Man in High Castle. He wrote each chapter by doing the I Ching, which is a Chinese game with sticks. And the way that they fall, you can read what the prophecy is. It's a terrible, terrible explanation of it, but very basic. And it's funny because I did that. I've got tarot cards behind me. I have a comic I've been writing for a number of years. I haven't put it out yet. But every chapter, I do a tarot reading. And I let that guy, and my own dumbass, I'm not trained in this at all, my own dumbass interpretation, every issue, rather, has a tarot reading connected to it. And I just let that fuel my imagination. It's not, I don't think there's a spiritual guidance. With the tarot, I'm just like, oh, that's some cool shit that symbolizes. How can I get that in? You're using Dungeons and Dragons games that way. And I love that. And Dennis, you're playing with this idea. It's almost the rebuttal to with great power comes great responsibility. Why should it? Am I beholden to anybody? Why can't I use this to buy a major weed company and fund comic books?
There you go.
It's really, really cool. And you told me, I believe it was backstage, but it could have been online on the show, that your next Kickstarter is October.
Yeah, it's going to be Mama's Boy, and that's another thing where I want to explore not just horror, but kind of the idea of fear. Fear for me has always been something I really find interesting. There's that moment of fear where you know you're going to die, or you're right at that breaking point, and that fear is so intense. And the basis of it was I've experienced it a number of times where you kind of make that face where you're dead. You're gonna die that close. And Chris knows about death more than anyone I probably know. He's died like 3 times and lived to tell about it. But for me, exploring fear and that one moment right before you bite it is the strongest feeling. And my character is basically based on that fear, where that moment you're about to die is when he is triggered, and that's where he gets his powers from, and that's when he emerges from the dark. So it's one of those things where I really want to explore that idea of fear and heroism.
Wow. All right. See, this, folks, this is what I'm talking about. The indie comic world. And when you get professionals like Chris and Dennis behind the table making stories, this is not the basic storyline at all. They're playing with philosophy. They're playing with concepts. They're questioning the morals and mores of the superhero world, the rules, the chivalric rules, right? And it's bringing about all new stories. I need to hear more about Chris dying multiple times. But first, let's see. We've got, well, thank God he loves shirts. No one wants to see that. We like Christian in a shirt as well. Thanks, guys. I'm glad this hate came out of nowhere. You know, I was making here's an image for everybody. I was making chicken tonkatsu tonight, and I was frying the chicken cutlets, and I took off the shirt I was wearing because I didn't get the oil spatters. I didn't want to get it on there. And my 9-year-old son walks in and goes, "Dad, put on a shirt. No one wants to see that." And he's the sweetest kid in the world. He managed to say it sweetly. And now you guys I'm going to have a complex. You had me at Kaiju in Times Square. Anyone see the Godzilla -0 trailer?
Nice.
Kaiju, Claudia says, I'm in. Remind Chris not to stand during the show because I'm sure he's not wearing pants again. Chris, I don't know if that's you or me he's referring to.
Probably both.
I don't think I've ever been pantsless on a show. Possibly. I did have COVID for like 3 weeks when I was running.
There you go. Mark pointed out that Dick is always my favorite. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that. That's excellent. -0 is guaranteed good time. Life on Saturn, as a D&D fan, do you still roll dice to make life decisions? Or even when writing? How about that?
Funny story.
Nice.
My girlfriend and I started dating, and she, we can never figure out where to eat. So we have D&D dice that I got that specify like what we're gonna do on the date, what we're gonna eat, where we're gonna go, what we do. So I have like 3 dice that we can use. And as far as writing and stuff, yeah, I mean every issue of C.R.I.T is written that way. And we have the Mr. Wizard and Friends book that I'm still working on, which is a whole other chaotic mess of D&D fun. That one is all written the same way with D&D.
Wow, that's so cool. I dig that. Playing with something, what I did with the tarot cards, it forced me to say, all right, well, I knew where the plot was going, but now I've got to insert these other elements. How can I do it so it still flows? And it opens up another level of creativity. I love that you're doing it that way and dating that way. There's a date has been set up for Godzilla -0. Mark says popcorn is on me. Literally, I'm a sloppy eater. And Ryan requested no cutting a hole in the box, please. I've known Mark since 4th grade, Ryan. There will be a hole in the box. So, Chris, what is this about you almost dying multiple times?
Oh, no, it's not almost. My heart stopped 3 times before I was age 6. I've been hit by a car. They don't know how I lived through that one. I'm going to have to go through the whole list here. Just in the past few years, I've had I had COVID and lost my sense of smell for 6 years. I just got it back like a month ago. But yeah, by the time I was 6, I had scarlatina or red fever. I had that twice, and it built up flew around my heart and stopped my heart. And I was 4 years old, trying to impress some friends, and jumped into the deep end of a pool and was trying to like show off. Well, I was really little, and the big kids jumped in on top of me and smashed my head into the bottom of the pool, and no one knew where I was until there was blood all in the pool, and I like floated up the top, and my mom grabbed me, and I was told when she found me I was purple. I had no pulse. The guy was calling an ambulance. The lifeguard on duty, he's like, he has no pulse. My mom just literally, this little 5 foot tall Italian woman is punching me in the chest, and I just started coughing up water and blood, and she literally said she beat the life back into me. And then like I said, I got hit by a car when I was 12. I used to do BMX racing, and I was trying to do a trick where I was rollerblading and biking at the same time. So I crossed the street, had my rollerblades on, had my BMX bike. I'm going to this park where I always practiced, and a Buick come up from behind me doing about 55, nailed my bike. My head went through the windshield. I bounced off the back of the car, smashed the back windshield in. I actually lost from here down to here. All the skin in my face was gone. My lip was hanging off. That was the first day of summer in 7th grade. So I spent my entire summer with a face mask. I looked like the Phantom of the Opera. And yeah, for almost an entire like 6 months, every picture I had was like this. I wouldn't even show my face.
Jeez, dude. Well, okay, as a parent of 3 children, the idea of being your parent sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We've got Sabina saying that's how 5 foot Italian moms do.
Yep.
Claudia, are we having an M. Night Shyamalan moment here? If he really is dead and we are seeing him, Christian has a new top story to write. I'll draw it. Bruno, yo, what did I miss? You missed everything, including the 17 deaths of Chris Salem. Holy crap, dude! Either God adores you or the terror devil is terrified of you.
Nice.
Yeah, man, you better remember flowers on Mother's Day.
Yes. Yeah. My mom was an important lady. She's on my arm. I actually have her mother Mary, because her name was Mary, and my 2 sisters on my arm, because my mom was a very important lady. And her nickname
that's
Mama
awesome.
Mary. Yeah, I'm one of 11 kids. So
your mother was a saint.
Yeah, and most of them were taken in
kids.
and adopted.
I'm sorry.
She adopted a good portion of those kids too. I have 2 brothers named Chris.
Wow.
That's helpful when you're screaming for everyone to come to dinner. That's 2 less names to yell.
She just called us by my last names because they were adopted, and I was the only one with my last name. So she would, it was quite the family life.
Ryan wants to know if there's a Final Destination situation.
I thought the same thing when I saw that movie.
Genius.
I was like, I wonder when my ticket's up.
Tina says the fact that she noticed you getting hurt so often with 11 kids. Dennis, do you have any near-death experiences?
No, this thing. Whenever one of the things with Chris and even all the fellas, whenever I hear their stories, I live the most boring, peaceful life, and I'm totally cool with that. Like I'm good. Love it. You guys can all this craziness and chaos. I'm good with my drawing pad on a couch watching, Only Murders in the Building. Like I'm good. I'm solid.
People, I'll say to them, hey, anything new and exciting? And they're like, no. I'm like, good. It's safer that way.
Solid.
Mark said, screw the Dos Equis guy. This is the man. Folks, I put it in the chat, and I'm going to do it again. I'll do it again. This is where you go right now. So Chris has C.R.I.T coming out.
Mm-hmm.
C.R.I.T, what issue?
10. Yep. Next.
And
next
we didn't even talk about this. I even humped it in the ad. What is this coffee angle? It's called a whole latte trouble. We didn't even talk about that yet. We're so invested in your immortality that
yeah. So it's called whole latte trouble. The story of C.R.I.T, it's just like any D&D game. Eventually these guys started doing, like, they came up with this whole storyline where they bought their own coffee shop. They really, it takes a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kind of turn. They wanted to have more revenue, so they opened up a little mobile coffee shop, and they bought a coffee shop, and so they this one is pretty much the best way that I can describe this without giving up the whole story is this. It's modeled after the scene in Ninja Turtles where it's an unending line of foot soldiers and they're fighting in that house. And going into the game, we had there was like some break in the story. We had a very like dialogue heavy narrated session where we role played a lot of dialogue instead of action. So the very next session I came in and I was like, all right, we talked the whole time last time. It's time to fight. And I, being a huge Ninja Turtles fan, I had seen that scene and was like, that's what I'm just going to do is just have this nonstop flow of enemies. And I needed a good core group. So there's gangs in the story already, and they've already ticked these gangs off multiple times. And so the leader of this gang, he's a new guy, and his name is Staccato Mamba. He is a bard character, so he sings the whole time. And it takes place in their coffee shop. And so for part of the campaign, one of the top tiers is going to be custom. I have custom coffee bags and flavors for the for C.R.I.T. So it's a C.R.I.T. coffee finally. I did an energy drink a couple years ago, so I'm doing doing coffee now.
Oh, that's great. I love this. I love how it all ties together. I love that. I love the Ninja Turtles reference. Mark says, I love that fight when the floor fell through. I was hooked as a kid.
Same.
He also says, Dennis is not feeling the competition here. I'm with you, Dennis. Air conditioning, home delivery, and streaming. No news is good news.
Nice.
Yeah, this is so cool. I love how you're taking this campaign and you're making it into this exciting comic. But I got a problem, though. This, I just finally found out about C.R.I.T. The Kickstarter is about to go live, but holy shit, it's on issue 10. What do I do? Do I just get issue 10? Will I be lost?
Nope.
Is there an omnibus I should get? Is it going to cost me my soul? What do I do?
I get yelled at that I'm a little bit too cheap sometimes, to be quite honest with you, on my books, but I like to make it accessible. All the copies are available at homebrewedcomics.com, digital, physical. But in the campaign, every campaign I do, I have all the previous books. So, and the digital copies you get the day the campaign ends. So as soon as the campaign ends, I go ahead for anyone that's doing the catch up tiers. I send them a file. Like, here is issues, 1 through, so you can get caught up before it comes out. And they get the physicals if they've purchased them, whatever. But yeah, I make them 100% accessible. And issue 0 is free on the website, so you can go in. I didn't draw issue 0. A friend of mine, he took the original crappy one that I drew when I knew nothing, and as a favor was like, hey, because I had given him the drawing tablet that I had actually made issue 0. I shipped it down to Australia. And he's like, well, as a thank you, I am going to redraw this book. So issue 0 is free. Nate Broughton, he drew that for me. And it's just a bunch of fun. It's called Character Sheets for anybody that knows D&D.
Great. Folks, I just put in the chat, get issue number 0 now, totally free. I should have said that. The website is Homebrewed Comics. Get on there, get exploring. There's so much cool shit. Ryan says $2.99. Since when? You get Dirty Living for $2.99 every 3 months on fugitivepoems.com. And I've been yelled at about, I'm kind of cheap too with that, Chris. I got yelled at by everyone when I put that price out there. It's like, what are you kidding? Do you not want to make a profit? Works for pay party people. Ding any bells lately? Do it. Also, like and subscribe. Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Dennis, Celestial Knight. I want to have you on to talk about Celestial Knight. I love the name. I love the concept. I love the art.
Yeah.
So let's get a date on the calendar as soon as you know where you're going with that Kickstarter date-wise. And let's do that. Chris, anything else that you've got going? You let me know. I loved having you on the show. Is there anything else you want to hump right now?
Yeah, just check out the website. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. We've put out a lot of books. We've got Tin Can, which is a book that we only release on the website. We didn't do any Kickstarters for it. We've got all the back issues of Crit, Celestial Knight, Bigfoot Knows Karate, Caspian Porter, and of course, we do have Homebrewed Zero up there, so you can check out a bunch of short stories to get introduced to all the topics.
Right.
And we've got something real big coming this year that we're still working on the ins and outs on. But once that gets announced, I'd love to come back because it's going to be huge. It's one of the biggest things that anyone in our circle has really been able to do. So we're really proud of it, and I can't wait to really unveil that one.
Well, so let's get a date on the calendar, and it's yours. Mark says, just don't die after the show. It would not look good for Christian.
No,
Mark says Christian is to businessmen what clowns are to heart surgeons.
Wow.
Dennis, what do you got? What should we keep an eye on for you?
Yeah. So media. I do a Whatnot show every Wednesday night at 9:00. I double
What is
stream.
that? Hold on. What is Whatnot and what is that?
Okay. So Whatnot's a selling platform. We are Homebrewed AF. So I always tell everyone, we cross the streams. We go full Ghostbusters here. We cross the streams. I stream IG live on one camera, and then I'm doing Whatnot on the other. And basically, we have exclusive content on there. So it's not like the stuff you're going to see on Homebrewed Comics on the website. There's original art there. There's exclusive covers, variant covers. There's starter kits. If you want to get all 4 issues of Homebrewed Comics physicals, you can get it there. Just really, really exclusive stuff. Something like this is a Bigfoot Knows Karate. This is a remark by Dan Price with his signature on it. Plenty of things like that where you're not going to normally see. If you can't make it to a con where we're at, go to Homebrewed Comics, go to Homebrewed AF on Whatnot, and you can pick up certain, signatures, remarks, all the cool stuff that you can probably get if you could come to a con where we're kind of showing. So I do that every Wednesday night, 9:00. The fellows will be on there, whether it's a live draw where they're going to be pitching, their the Kickstarter that's going on. And aside from that, I mean, again, Homebrewed Comics, Chris had mentioned it, Homebrewed Zero. Right now we have it in the shop. I believe right now you can only get it if you had signed up for the last 3 Kickstarters. You would have got a coupon code to pick this up. Eventually this will be at a retail price, but Homebrewed Zero is our compilation comic. And then, I'm going to do this for Dan Price since he's going to Kickstarter in May, I believe May 6th. Bigfoot Knows Karate, God Killer. Benny kills Odin. I mean, that's all you got to say. Bigfoot kills Odin.
I definitely wanted to punt that out there because Dan and Casey have this ridiculous, awesome story, and the artwork I'm just blown away by.
Yeah, chef's kiss.
Not checked out Bigfoot Knows Karate. You talked about when we came together, and me and Drew really handpicked all the stuff we liked, and I still to this day will say that I think I lettered Celestial Knight 1, and I called Dennis and I was like, I think that might be my favorite indie comic. This comic book writing and comic book art are just not the same as a lot of people just think they can jump into it. And Dennis nailed the script, nailed the whole flow of the story. I loved it. And then you get into Bigfoot Knows Karate. And I remember I met Dan through Dennis. They were doing a live draw, and I watched this man sit there with his little finger and draw on a screen. And I was like, what is this guy doing? And then he's launching a book. And I remember when it hit Kickstarter, and he messaged me and said, hey, can I give you an advanced copy so you can read it and see what you think? And I was just like, damn it, I gotta up my game. It is, I love the story. I don't want to give anything away for anybody, but it is just both of them have their own unique giant monsters. And when you have Bigfoot Knows Karate with Kung Fu Thulu and Chupacabra with my favorite, I will say this till forever. My favorite is Chupacabra with a shotgun, and I'm really
shotgun
to do a one shot. I begged him when we started this whole project. I said, Dan, come partner with us, but I have a question. Can we please do Chupacabra with a shotgun as a one shot? And he's like, I think he's like this close now, but I'm like begging because I really want that to be its own thing.
Casey Allen is a dear friend of mine. Another dear friend, Doug Wood, got us connected to the Comic Jam. I write a script every week for the Comic Jam, and they put out one-page comics. I got to know Casey Allen, who's the editor-in-chief there. We became fast friends. I've never met the man. But we became fast friends, and his writing always blows me away.
Yeah.
And Bigfoot Knows Karate has just like snowballed into this bigger and bigger and cooler, absolutely awesome thing. I am I am a huge fan of Casey's writing, and Dan Price's art is just stellar. The concept is great, and Dan
Mhm.
Price is just a hell of a guy. By
Yeah.
the way, we've got a
Mhm.
little vaudeville routine going on in the chat. Bruno B. Duarte wants to know, why did the clown go to the doctor? Mark said, why? And Bruno said he was feeling funny. Mark said, I never tire of that one, said the bicycle. And then it goes on. But we also have the comment, Bigfoot kills Odin. Why wasn't that in Thor Ragnarok? This is why Marvel is failing. Bruno wants
Well
to know, how
said.
come Dennis and Chris both have titles and Christian is just Christian? Because I am all. That is why. He never met Christian. That's why we're friends. That's why they're
Nice.
friends. Yes, that is it. Bigfoot knows karate. Life on Saturn says, hell yeah. Lesser known comics family.
Hell yeah.
And
Nice.
Life on Saturn works with lesser known comics quite often. Guys,
Nice.
this has been an absolute blast. Chris, I am thrilled you were able to join us.
Yes, thank
Dennis,
you.
I had such a great time talking to you. You got a delivery that just makes me want to listen. You're
Nice.
you're intense and passionate about what you're doing. And Chris, you're like me. You're bombastic and exciting about it. You guys were awesome to talk to. Anytime
Appreciate
you
it.
want to come on, you reach out, and I'll bump someone less important like Mark.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You let me know. What do we got here? Have you read Christian writes? Feeling funny is a porn comic with blood spurting. Christian would write.
Ew.
Guys, you are awesome. Thanks, and stay in touch. Let's do some cross promotion.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Folks, like, subscribe, ding the bell, hit notify me. Whatever YouTube is telling you to do it for Fugitive Poems so that you
Nice.
can get more of this incredible content. Not only do you get me weekly, which I mean, ask my wife, what better gift could there be? But you get incredible guests like Dennis and Chris. And next week, on my birthday, on April 23rd, when I'm turning 23 years old, no, not even close. We're gonna have Frankie fucking White on. If you don't know Frankie White, you're gonna. Who Killed Sarah Shaw? Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, 21 Fists. The man is a powerhouse of comic creation. I am so psyched that he's agreed to be on the show. He's been a friend for a long time, a guide into indie comics. Frankie White. Next week on The Art Will Not Be Changing. Tonight we had Dennis Valencia and Chris Saloff with I almost said lesser known because they put that in my head. Homebrewed Comics. Homebrewed Comics, folks. Go to the website, click notify me on launch for the Kickstarter. Keep an eye on everything these guys are doing. It is badass and fantastic. Stop threatening our customers with your presence. I dinged his bell. Once is enough. So, all right, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis, Chris, thank you so much for being on tonight. This was a great time.
Really appreciate you having
Anytime.
us. Seriously. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. Folks, I'm Christian De Matteo, co-founder of Fugitive Poems. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Like, subscribe, and remember, we are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.